Greetings, nerds and newcomers. My name is Austin Alesso, and today I will be going over how to use Fantasy Grounds, how to download Fantasy Grounds, and a couple odds and ends that will help you understand how to play D&D 5e through a virtual tabletop. So first off, with Fantasy Grounds, you can download it one of two ways. This is the home page right here. You can go to downloads right here and download for OS or Windows or Steam. Personally, I do Steam. I just find it a little bit easier, but you can just click on the tabs over here and go to that. And it has a lot of information over here that you can find as well. But once you have it downloaded, first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and go through Steam. If you do it that way, hit play, and it will open up this page right here for you. So this is the Fantasy Grounds homepage. First thing you're going to want to do is go to settings. It's going to ask you, maybe if you want to make changes, you can click yes. And the first thing you're going to want to do is to go down here to updates, mode live. That way you're actually on the live mode. So make sure that's in place. And go ahead and update at the bottom just to make sure. They do have some updates from time to time. But just a quick, just one question to answer. Do I have to pay for Fantasy Grounds? There is an actual subscription service. I bought the whole permanent subscription and shut out all that cash so you don't have to. So I can play with anybody for free and they can basically play with me. So now that that's been taken care of, first thing you're wanting to do is join game. And you can only basically get to Fantasy Grounds when I'm on and playing with you. So first thing you want to do is go ahead here to put a username in, and you're going to want to consistently use this username. And then host address. And that will either be an external address, the external IP address, or it'll be a 4 or 5 letter, 4-word password kind of host address, or alias host address as it's called. I already have a secondary application of it open, connected to it, so I'm going to go ahead and connect with that with localhost, and we'll connect shortly. And there's a bit of a small delay between you actually connecting to the game or not, but we'll go ahead and see that here. Now with Fantasy Grounds, there's a lot of good applications that it does have, although it does have some hindrances or some things you just have to remember here and there. But we'll go over that. First thing is going to ask you about campaign setup. Personally, you can go ahead and X that out, and it's going to ask you to character select. Well, you're new, you don't have a character, but we will create one. So we're going to want to go ahead and X that out as well. First thing you need to know, and the first thing you need to do, is to go down here to the right on the icon library. You're going to want to click on that. And the next thing you're going to want to do is go down here to modules and click on that. This data module activation tab is going to pop up, and make sure to hit load on all 3 of these, as it will basically load all the data for 5e into your seed so you can actually access it. So you can go ahead and X out here, and the first thing we want to do is this right here, this library goes ahead and changes all your icons on the right. So we're going to do create PC. So that's the first thing we want to do. Clicking on that, we'll go ahead and update the icons. And we can X out of that. Now there's a lot here to look at. So over here to the left is the text chat window. You can go ahead and type stuff here, and it'll go ahead and pop up. Now you can also hit Control and type something up, which will basically put act, like your character is acting. If you hold Alt and type something up and enter it, OOC is that a character, and that is basically more for text-based, although I use voice-based more often than not. You can also go ahead and select the languages here if you know any, through a drop-down list. And what's real cool about that is, let's say you speak Elvish and another party member speaks Elvish. You basically can talk to each other, and if the other party members don't know Elvish, what you type out will not pop up as a understandable language for their characters. So that's pretty neat. But if you ever need to type anything out or have any help, you can do \help, and it'll bring up all these different commands you can use Down here, you do have your dice. And if you ever want to roll some dice, you can in the chat window, although you won't be doing it very often. We're rolling out one right here. If you need to roll more dice, you can just right click on it and roll as many as you'd like. Or you can go ahead, if you need to rearrange your dice, just right click anywhere on the main map. You can exit program, you can change the position of the chat around, or you can just rearrange your dice down here. Right clicking on the D10 right here, you can go ahead and roll percentile. Or if you ever want to roll 20 D10s for some ungodly reason, you can do so. And you roll a perfect 100. Awesome. But that's how you use some of your dice down there. But once again, you're not going to be really using those that often. If you ever attack with advantage, you can click advantage right here and roll your D20, and bam, it takes the greater number, 12, and drops to 2. Same with disadvantage. If you ever, let's say, had to attack somebody behind half cover, they'd have a +2 to AC, so you'd have basically a -2 to hit. So that's one way to go ahead and roll a 17. It's pretty good. Now, we can go over here to the top right and go to the little easel. And it'll say colors. Now, this allows you to change your dice color at the bottom left. So you can go ahead and hit multiple hues or combinations between. You can pretty much go pure white with black lettering, which is what this button is right here. Or we can just go jade green. That looks pretty cool. And it should go ahead and reflect the dice that you're rolling. I'm not sure why it's not showing up right here. It's changing color, but believe me, it does work. Now down here at the very bottom, at like the taskbar like area, numbers 1 through 12, those correspond to your F keys. So you have F1, F2, F3, and you can basically hot map a lot of different items here, and you can expand upon it using Control, Alt, Shift, Control, Shift, Alt, Control. So you have all the mapping you could ever want. Up here to the top right, you have the combat tracker, which will go ahead and once we engage in combat, you can click on this, and it basically shows your party, their HP, it will show your enemies, their names if they're named, and what their relative initiative is in the order. It won't show HP. If you ever need to end your turn during combat, you can just click down here to turn complete. We won't go too much into that, but it's pretty simple once you actually get it down. This right here, just so you know, is effects and conditions. If anything like restrained or grappled is being applied to your character, they'll show up there. Then, of course, you have your initiative order, HP, max HP, temporary, and wounds, basically how much damage you've taken. Over here, we have the party sheet. This will show you your items. And what's real cool about this is that I can automatically, as a GM, distribute the gold evenly among the party. And any parcel items that you have, you can just click on this little dragon icon right here. And whenever you see a dragon icon, you can click and drag to an appropriate area, and it copies and pastes for you, which is really awesome. So this right here, you basically, if you wanted to take these gold teeth, you could just click and drag this to your inventory on your character sheet, and it'll apply there and take it from here. And if you ever need to do a stack of something, you can go ahead and shift, control left click and put it in your inventory on your character sheet, which we'll be making here soon. But you have your inventory page for all your loot, and you have the order. Let's say you need to go ahead and, as a GM, I'll ask for a marching order, and you can go ahead and put the dice in what marching order you want, or where you're situated around a camp field. Do note that this grid on this map does not match up for everybody, which is kind of funny, since some characters will try to put their character around the fire, and you'll see it, your character, let's say Nidri, is around the fire, but on someone else's page, if they're zoomed in too far or not zoomed in, they'll be way out here. So it is kind of different based upon how you zoom in and scroll. But that's the party sheet. Calendar is the next one right here. I'm not typically going to use that. Modifiers, you typically won't deal with these. I'll just tell you to give a modifier with an advantage, or a -5 or a +2, depending on that. Effects, these are all the effects that can be applied, and mostly I'll deal with that as the GM. And you do have your settings options right here, which you can look at, but typically won't need to. So first thing, we have the player characters, and these show all the player characters that are not taken by the name. And it's really important that you have the same name every game. That way you have the same access and permissions of the characters you made, because you'll have your name or created by or owned by under that player character. These are a couple of forms that I made for the druid. And then we have background, classes, feats, and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and create a PC. Oh, one quick thing down here to the bottom right. This is known as the dice tower. The dice tower over here, if I might ask you to make a d20 roll and I don't want you to know the roll, any dice you add and drag into here will roll a shadow, and the GM will know what the roll is, but you won't. So that might add some tense drama to the actual game. And of course, the right over here, some of the actual icons that accompany the list. So, player characters. Now, real important, if you ever need to size a window, you can go down here to the bottom right, and you'll see this little kind of line icon. You can right click or left click and drag to basically reshape the window like you want. Or you can just click anywhere using Control left click and expand or retract the window any way you'd like. So that's really important, especially if you're lacking window space. So now that's done, let's go ahead and create a player character. So we're gonna hit the green icon down here, little plus, add item, and we have unnamed. So we have our character sheet right here. We have a lot to put up. So you have your main character sheet, you have your name, any inspiration that's been awarded, you just click this right here, and I'll put a little star up here for you. To the left is your portrait, which you can go ahead and click out through some of these subfolders, and right click is a token. And tokens are down here. I do have some that you can access, but usually I'll help make you one myself, or you can just have a token that you select and drag up here. So you have class and level. If you click on any of these little magnifying glasses on the right, that will basically put a drop-down menu, which will allow you to go ahead and inspect and modify certain values like experience. You have your proficiency bonus, your background goes here, your race goes here. Now you have your abilities. We have the 6 ability scores down here, and we have these little dice icons. And in order to change this, you would just type in what your starting ability modifier is. Little dice down here in the left-hand corner. Any dice icon that you see allows you to basically make a roll. If you either click and hold and drag into the text window on the left-hand side of the main page, or you can double click. So if I need you to make a strength check, you can double click this, and wow, nat 20, check strength. Or maybe you just feel more comfortable clicking and throwing. And then what's really cool, anytime you see a kind of dragon icon or a dice icon, you can click drag down here to your taskbar like menu. So one good thing to do is to get right here, initiative, INIT, click and drag that. GM asks for everybody to roll initiative. You don't have to open this up anymore. You can just hit F5. And then initiative has been rolled. So you go ahead and customize this any way you'd like. But we have your ability scores here. Any senses, perception is passive. Your AC, you click on the little magnifying glass icon. You see speed, armor, and as a GM can modify this to meet certain needs or any extra bonuses. You have initiative, you have your speed, saves, you need to make a wisdom saving throw. As always, you can click and drag this die below to hotkey. At the very bottom, HP max temporary wounds, we've been over that, and then your hit dice are down here. If you have any hit dice from your class, they'll show up down here you can use during your short rest. Death saves, nobody likes making death saves, but sometimes you have to. So if you have to make a death save, you just click this and it rolls for you. And then it'll automatically chalk up a little check mark whether you save or fail. Over here, you have special moves, special defenses, typically won't come up, but that's your main page of your character sheet. Next, you have skills. This has all your skills down here and the base stats, any miscellaneous bonuses. and the grand total. So once again, little dice icon. Let's say you want to make a perception check. You're a very perceptive character. Click down here, F7. There we go. Over here, little star icons. Proficiency. If you have proficiency with a certain skill, will pop up automatically. You have double proficiency if you like to do that. Or maybe you have half proficiency due to the Bardic Jack of all trades feature. Or not proficient. And you can click right here on any dragon icon to bring up a text box that shows you basically what it is. So this gives you a good acrobatics definition. And of course you can resize if you need to. This lock icon means it's read-only. You cannot modify the actual text. Now we move on to stealth. Fantasy Grounds does take armor into effect when it's calculating your stealth rolls, whether or not you have proficiency or you are using a type of heavier armor that gives you disadvantage on stealth rolls. Alright, our next tab is abilities. This is where we're going to click and drag a lot of our class abilities into this part. So that will help out. Inventory, this is where we're going to put all of our equipment, our gold, our treasure. Real quick thing to help out is to go down and put this into your treasure. So platinum pieces, gold pieces, silver pieces, copper pieces, and electrum pieces. That way that's all labeled and will automatically be distributed. You have your encumbrance listed down here, automatically tracked for you, which is pretty cool. Notes, these are notes you can go ahead and modify yourself and just type in personal notes for you and your character. Log is, we won't use that. I believe that is for Adventurers League, but we won't be using that. And weapons. Weapons down here. Once we click and drag some weapons, you can change if you ever need to prepare spells or you're a spellcaster. I can basically put the number of spells you have per day at what level, and if you ever need to prepare spells, this allows you to do so. Then combat mode allows you to really see your weapons, and then you have displays, which goes ahead and changes how things look. But let's go ahead and make a character, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time, thankfully. We can go ahead over here and let's choose race first. So all the races are listed. They are double listed or triple listed sometimes. That just has to do with having multiple books and licenses on Fantasy Grounds. You can pick either one. It doesn't make any difference at all. At the bottom, you do have a search bar, of course. You can type into that. But let's go ahead and select the Dragonborn. So we're going to click and hold on the dragon icon, and bam, Dragonborn race. And look on the left side, it adds a lot of stuff for us. So our base speed's been added. We also have strength +2 and charisma +1. You go over here to your abilities, and our breath weapon's been added, damage resistance, and draconic ancestry. And let's see, we can go ahead and look down here as a trait. So we can go ahead and look at all that, and damage resistance based upon your draconic ancestry, and all that neato stuff. So, and then of course, if you ever need to find out, okay, what does my Dragonborn class have again? All this has been, all this has been put right here, and you can go ahead and scroll down and click on this, and it basically tells you what the Dragonborn race entails as far as the 5e rule set. And this can work for any rule set that you have. But typically I just play 5e D&D. So, we have a race, we have a Dragonborn. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's pick a class. So go over here, classes. And I only have the base classes. I know Wizards of the Coast has come up with a lot of other classes, like the Mystic and a few others. But I don't have the actual license product loaded. I haven't purchased those. So we will stick to the default classes for the player's handbook. Commence in picking our class. Let's go with the Bard. We'll click and drop it over here, and we can see to our left that a lot of our abilities have been added to our character sheet. Now let us go and select our skills and see what this Bard will be proficient with. We got Performance, Let's go and pick Persuasion, quite the silver-tongued devil. And let's select one more to broaden our portfolio. Let's pick Investigation. I think that should be a pretty decent ad. We'll go ahead and add that there and click OK. Alright, so that's all been added. If you go to our skills over here, little star, +2. Alright, we are proficient. Okay. Hey guys, right here in the video, I noticed that I forgot to change the ability scores and put in the standard array ahead of time before adding in the race. And if you do it backwards and add your race in last, you gotta do some math to get it back. So what you wanna do is go ahead, put your standard array in, or whatever ability scores that you have in, and then once you add your race to your character sheet, it will then be updated. Moving on, what we can do is HP down here, put 8 on that. Then we got our max HP, we got our hit dice. We do have our AC, but we're going to need some items. Let's go ahead and pick background. Our saves over here, we can see ++. Bards are proficient in dexterity and charisma saving throws. So let's go over here to backgrounds. Let's just go ahead and pick one. We were an entertainer back in our day. Boop. Go ahead and put that there, and skill acrobatics, skill performance by popular demand feature has been added. Okay, so we can go down here to skills. See, those have been added over here. Go to abilities. We can go ahead, pick 3 musical instruments of our choice. So we can go ahead and just erase that and type those in that we want. And it puts our languages here: common, draconic, light armor. All right, so now what we can do is go over to items. Now that we have this listed, and we can go to armor and pick out what armor we want. Let's say we just want light armor. We're proficient with that. So what's some good light armor? Well, let's pick some leather armor. And just go to equipment and boop. You see the little shirt icon? It means it's been equipped. And we can go ahead and reflect that on our AC. See, that's been added. We can also go ahead and make sure with inventory, it's either not carried but not equipped, or equipped. So we can go ahead and just drag and drop what items that we have. And once again, if you need to find something, let's say a long sword. You can go ahead and just pick things out, and we'll go ahead and put a longsword in our inventory. And there we go. We have a longsword now. And if we go to actions, all right, we have a longsword. We have a +4, 2 to our strength, +2 to our proficiency, which we are proficient with. And it does 1d8 +2 slashing. And we can go ahead and double check all this stuff right here. So if you ever need to make an attack roll in combat, we can just double click this, and attack roll's been made, 4+4. And if you click on a target and control left click, that will target somebody in the combat tracker and will automatically let you know if you hit or not based upon their AC. And if you ever have to roll damage, the GM will tell you, or it will say hit. And you go ahead and roll that, and bam, look at that. 1d8 +2, 10 slashing damage. And you can go ahead and change this. If you have spell slots, we can go down here, add some spells. Let's just say source, bard. What are some bard cantrips that we can get? We go to level 0. So I like Mage Hand. Mage Hand's kind of cool. Bam, that's been added. And message. All right, and I believe a bard gets some first level spells. Let's go ahead and add those just because we can. Let's say Cure Wounds, and now it's been changed. So spells, cantrips, spells, level 1. And let's say you know how to use, let's see, Cure Wounds, and what's another good one? Ooh, Sleep. That's pretty cool. All right, so now we can go ahead and change the display of it. We can go ahead and change the preparation, your first level, so you have 2 first level spells. And if you ever need to cast heal, you can just roll this after left clicking and control clicking on an ally. You'll target them, and then that will be applied. For sleep, you can go ahead, effect. Sleep's one of those spells you actually have to roll 5d8 Yourself and the DM GM will have to figure that out. So of course you can come over here, put 5d8, let's say you're using a sleep spell, and roll that, and that'll be the amount of HP subtracted for units fall unconscious. But alright, let's go ahead, and next thing we can do, we have feats over here. We don't get any of those. Items, you can go ahead and fill the items up you need. Race we've done. Skills, you can just look down here, but we already have our skills loaded. Spells, tokens. Let's go ahead and get a token for this individual. I don't have much in the way of tokens right now, but I can go ahead and make you a token. And we can go ahead and let's say this one's a token. Okay, why not? And so that's a token right here. I'm going to go ahead and right click and delete that and confirm it. And let's say going over here to our portrait, we can go to this folder, Dragonborn. And let's say we are a just male Dragonborn. This one was copper. Let's say copper. Double click that and there we go. Let's give a name. Let's see. Let's say Krakus. Krakus Strongjaw. Why not? Alright, there we go. And now we can go through, double check some things. Of course, we can type our instruments down here or go and drag them from the item page. You can go to your background and figure out how much gold you get starting off. You put your personal notes. Let's say he is a male, he is age 37, height, you can put down weight, personality traits. We can go ahead and just quick add some stuff in if we would like, going back to our entertainer, going ahead and expanding this window. You can go down here and let's see our table. And let's just roll to see what we were. We were a tumbler. Okay. So there's a lot of little neat tables down here. You can kind of go ahead if you like to figure out your characters. Oh, we got 15 gold pieces right here we can add. And then table personality trait. This is going off the 5e player's handbook. I settled for nothing less than perfection. Okay, so we can click and drag that and bam, there it is. Don't have to do all that typing. And you can do that for the rest of your personality and background. Put this out and go back to the library and go to play. This will update everything on the right. So we're in play mode now. So we have a new feature, notes. And what you can do, if you like to have a little bit of both, you can just click all of them and that will just overload, put everything. If you want to take classes off, you can basically click and drag and take and add what you would like for icons on the right. But let's just go with simple play. Notes have been added. So notes are really cool because you can right click, create item, minimize or close window. So if you want to make a note, we'll call it important. This is important info. And you can click to make it public so all your allies can see it. If you want to make sure you're not accidentally typing on it, you can lock it. And there we go. So we have important information and we'll share that with our group, which will have the little P icon. Next to it, in order to actually click public, we have to unlock it first. And there we go. So now that's our name, G, and it's been shared with the group. And we can go ahead and look at other stuff as well. So that's notes, images, and maps. We will go ahead and click on that. And images and maps will basically go ahead and show you a picture, let's say the Acolyte background. But if you want to go to a combat map, battle map 02 has been shared. Alright, so this is our combat map right here. So we can go ahead and delete this token. And we can go ahead and take our token right here and plop it down. Oops. Nope, this one does not have the actual grid displayed, so it's not going to be directly to scale. Plus it's also locked by the GM. So unfortunately, until they unlock it, we won't be able to add anything. But this is what some of the battle maps look like, and you can zoom in. And like I said, if you ever need to resize the window, hit Control, and you basically zoom in using the mouse scroll wheel. And if you hold the mouse scroll wheel down, you can go ahead and click and drag. Sometimes these maps are a little large. If you ever need to pan, you can go ahead and click and drag, click and hold on the rows down here, and that'll allow you to scroll and pan. That's pretty neat. If you don't have really a mouse to use and you're using a laptop. But that's the gist of the battle maps. And the next thing we can go to is story. If anything's shared through there, that will be placed with a P in evidence. NPCs, if you ever need to look up certain, let's say you're a druid and you're trying to shapeshift, let's see what a black bear is, and it basically shows you the stats of that. And of course you have items, and that's pretty much the gist of it. I hope you found this information helpful. We went ahead and not only shown you how to download Fantasy Grounds, how to log in, how to connect. We've went through and looked at all the tabs, looked at what we need to do to set up to make sure our 5e player handbook and module data has been activated. We've gone and see how to make a character, click and drag things, done everything pretty much but combat. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. This is my first video. I know it might be a little rough, but I have plans for other videos to come along, highlighting my games, potentially other DM helpful tips and tricks and other things I've learned over the years. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you soon.